You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
And away we go. Welcome back.
Wow, my word.
My word. I love it.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast, where we bring the Firehouse kitchen table to you jack-offs. As always, got my boy Ruffy Ruff there.
What up?
There he is, shooting 81s on the links. You know how he knows how to do it.
You and Tiger. You and Tiger.
Yep. How was your back the next day? Were you limping around?
It was sore. Yeah, it was sore. I played today. Shot 85 today. Not so good, but
not so good. 85. I shoot 185, I think. Something like that.
I can't make the ball leave the ground. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Maybe a foot off the ground. At
most. Not that bad.
I'm terrible.
We used to play all the time when we were kids. Remember Forest Park, Joey's dad? Yep. And then all of a sudden he just kept going and I stopped.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And we got Petey Pete's over there coming from Dix Hills.
Shalom. How are you?
Yeah. Happy Passover. It's coming up.
We're having some special Jewish, Kubla. He's not Jewish.
We're having some special gefilters flown in from Virginia.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that I feel a little bit racially discriminated tonight because Pete and his old lady was supposed to hang out with me and my old lady on Saturday, but he got the call from the yeshiva and he threw me over.
Correct.
Yeah, the temple called, and evidently his wife's friends, coming up from Virginia, they want to celebrate Passover with Pete. So the Gentiles that we don't get to hang.
It was, it wasn't my decision, but we will hang out next week. All right, I'll make it up to you. We'll probably have some.
This upset when you don't hang out with me. I mean.
You don't come down from up God's country, bro. Why don't you come down from God's country once in a while?
And you're always yelling at him.
Nah, Ruffy doesn't yell at me. He only yells at you.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's how that went. So I'm hanging out with somebody else anyway. So how do you like that?
I'm sorry, man. You think I'd rather? Who do you think I'd rather hang out with?
You either be eating the gefilte fish and playing spin the dreidel and everything else is playing over there.
Spin the dreidel.
You don't play spin the dreidel on Passover.
Oh, you do. You play spin the dreidel.
I play the spin the dreidel all the time.
All right, moving on.
All right. Anyway, Pete, why don't you give us the shameless plugs right out the bat first?
All right. Well, there's something interesting and new tonight. But first and foremost, the show is brought to you guys by GettinSaltyApparel.com, where you will find T-shirts like the one that I am wearing right here, the Warren Fuchs-inspired Saddle Up T-shirt.
Saddle it up, kid.
Or a delicious drinking vessel. Have you ever seen such a beautiful drinking vessel? I don't think so. Filled with Tito's tonight. All kinds of wonderful stuff. Lighters, cigar cutters, all that kind of fun stuff over at GettinSaltyApparel.com.
Look at old school one, Ruffy. Salty dog. Before we got our ball suit off, we had to change it to
Gettin' old Salty. School, baby. But,
old school.
GettinSaltyApparel.com is one way to support us. But also, guys, just wanted to give you guys a heads up that if you guys have a question that absolutely, positively has to be answered by either us or by our guest tonight, we have something called the Super Chat. And that's just another way, guys, that you guys can help support us. So if you guys want to, feel free to use the Super Chat and help
Super
us.
Chat pushes you right to the front of the line, and we answer your question. No questions asked. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So listen, the guy we got tonight, bro, I don't even think you can get saltier than this guy, right?
Nope, not possible.
I think it's a combination between salt and dust because he's up there, bro.
I was going to tell him in the back when we had him in the pre-show. I'm glad we got him on first, because I don't know how much longer he's got. He could go any day.
He could time out any minute. He could time out. We don't know, but we got a really salty guy. He's a musician too. We're going to start off with a little song.
We are.
Yeah. So we got none of them. The one and only Tommy McTigue. Woo! And there he is. There he is. I love him.
Tommy, we're glad you made it on the show, pal.
Made it on the show.
We didn't know how much longer you had.
I didn't think I'd make it this weekend at that studio up in Watertown. My plug YouTube froze.
Oh, it froze up on you? I get that problem.
The EMT guys had to bring me back to the headquarters and give me 5 shots of Irish whiskey.
It always works. That warms up the cockles.
Yes, look at the ice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he's got a cross between Hugh Hefner and the captain from Captain and Tennille. He's got the piano behind him, bro.
I thought he was more like a mature Leo DiCaprio in that movie where he plays a pilot. Catch Me If You Can.
Yes,
Yeah.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah. He's got the same handsome looks.
Before we dive into this fellow, who I don't know if we've had a guy on yet that got on in the 60s. In the 60s? No. But we're going to have him sing us a little song. He's going to serenade us. Is that right, Tommy?
Yes, sir.
Tune it up a little.
Got it. I'm ready.
Do you want me to give you? And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, go.
In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first laid my eyes on sweet Molly Malone. She wheeled a wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She died of a fever, and no one could save her. And that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. She wheeled a wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Yeah!
Yeah, brother.
He said cockles.
Every time he said cockles, I wanted to burst out.
Good job, Tommy.
That's three fight song for the rest of eternity. That's it.
Like it.
Tommy, tell them you want them to sing you that song.
What?
Tell what you told us in the pre-show. When do you want them to sing that song to you?
When I'm dead.
When they're putting you in the dirt, right?
Wait there with the worms. And everybody, and by the way, I told my daughter, God bless her soul, I told my daughter, I want the Army wooden casket. I don't want to go out like a big shot. I want to go out like a roach.
Like a pine box?
Pine box, that's correct. Because I have no illusions about life. There are no big shots, only fools who think they are.
I like that.
When you go on the ground,
Won't matter.
it's over. And
Right.
you know, I read a great story about the samurais, and their own people betrayed the samurais in modern times. And the samurais had a saying, and they said, all turns to dust. Think of that.
Yep.
That's true.
All turns to dust. So if we have illusions about ourselves, like I was just telling one of the guys here, you know, when you grow up in New York, you kind of like, I know that. And my first day in the Firehouse, we had I came in real early to 14 truck because I knew what the game was. You got to start cleaning the tools. You don't even have a cup of coffee. You start cleaning the tools. So I got there about 8 o'clock, got into my blue, whatever I had, and I started cleaning the tools. At 9:02, we had a box. And that was it was the second alarm on arrival.
Oh, my
And
God.
Your first box? Your first run?
First run.
2 minutes on the job.
Wait. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get back. Let's get back to it. We gotta rewind.
One Molly Malone, and we're telling fire stories.
He's like, the word of the day. Pete, give us the word of the day.
Okay.
Word of the day.
Stand by, ladies and gentlemen.
The word of the day is.
The word of the day.
Wait, Pete's gonna give you the word of the day. Hold on a minute, Tommy.
He's excited.
The word of the day.
The word of the day is babe.
The word of the day is babe.
I had a word of the day here.
What'd you have?
What's your word of the day?
My word of the day, it's better to be lucky than good, and don't get killed.
Not bad.
I think I like Tommy's better.
Yeah, it's too long.
No bullshit.
the chances of one of us hitting that word is going to be
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right,
Tommy.
let's rewind it back a little bit. So, Tommy, where did you grow up? What neighborhood? What area? Where you from?
Inwood. Well, actually, I was born on Nelson Avenue in the Bronx,
Yeah.
5 blocks north of Yankee Stadium.
Right.
1943, my dad got a 13-cent an hour raise.
Ooh,
He was a trolley driver. Daddy was a trolley driver.
really?
He got a everything in New York City regarding transportation was privately owned. No unions.
Wow.
Got it?
Yep.
We're talking the early 30s.
Right.
Okay? So you couldn't strike. But Mike Quill came on the scene. He was a tough goat, man. He was a tough guy. And Mike Quill walked the guys out of the bus, the trolley barn up on 215th and Broadway. And it was my father's first experience on the picket line. Daddy was a pretty young guy. This is after he came back from Ireland, and he met my mother on the ship coming back from Ireland. And she was going down to Pennsylvania to be a governess, to take care of this rich family. And anyway, so Daddy went on to college for security, and they went on strike. And you know who showed up?
Who?
The
Molly
cop.
Malone?
No, the cops showed up. The mounted police.
Really?
Yeah, and they were all Irish immigrants, trolley drivers. And they said, you have 2 minutes to clear the street. If not, the horses are coming.
Holy shit.
And they didn't move. And the horses came. They had 20, 25 mounted cops. And they broke a few guys' skulls. And that was the end of the strike. But they got a raise of 13 cents or whatever it was.
So he gets a 13-cent raise and he moves you out of the boogie down to where? Inwood?
Inwood.
Inwood?
Nagel Avenue under the L on the first floor.
Really?
Yeah. And then we stayed there until about 1948. And then we moved up to Seaman Avenue. We're talking luxury. And the difference between Nagel Avenue and Seaman Avenue was the roaches were smaller.
I was going to say that.
And the roaches were bigger on Nagel Avenue. Luxury. It was.
Beautiful.
So you had that going for you.
Right.
Yeah, it was a great neighborhood.
So needless to say, that's why you joined the Marines in 1957.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
How far out of high school did you join the Marines?
Well, I got kicked out of Bronx Vocational High School.
Shocking.
No.
Oh, I was not made for school. It was terrible attitude. It was my fault. It was, I thought I knew everything. And guess where I woke up? When I woke up in the fire department, I said, this can't be real. When I had that first fire,
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Wait, but let's get to the Marines first.
I became a very humble man my first few hours on the fire department. That's what I'm trying to say.
But did the being in the Marines, did that kind of straighten you out a little bit?
No.
No. All right.
You're the only one. Did you go to Paris?
The only guy.
Where'd you go? Paris Island or Lejeune?
I was really incorrigible. I really was. I would always go, if they say left foot, I'd go right foot. Yeah, I was one of them guys. It's just, I guess I never liked authority. It's just.
Right.
I think I'm in the same boat. I like that.
So you don't like authority, so you're like, the Marines, that's for me. Hold on.
I understand it. Did you ever hear of Chesty Puller?
Yeah.
Chesty Puller was a Marine that headquarters Marine Corps hated. You know why they hated him? Because he loved the soldiers. He loved the Marines. But he didn't like the BS in headquarters. Because he says the only good Marine is the dirty Marine.
Mm.
Got it?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So there was a thing there. And they talked He went down to Camp Lejeune during World War II, and he demanded that they take the Coca-Cola out of the soda machines and put beer in there for the men.
There you go. I like this guy.
That's
There he
him.
is.
That's him.
That's him.
Look at this freaking
Wow,
savage.
he's got a rack and a half there, bro.
Yeah, he was a great man, but he had a son, and his son went into the Vietnam. There he is. His son went to Vietnam and lost both his legs,
No.
Oh, really?
and his son committed suicide.
Oh, that sucks.
And after his son died, Chesty blamed himself. He blamed himself because of the life that he led.
Right.
Always in the front lines. When he was in Korea, there another well-planned war, right?
Yeah.
And the Marines were trapped up there in the Chosun Reservoir, and they had to walk all the way down into South Korea. And the Marine Corps was really, really hurting. But he rebuilt it. He fully rebuilt it, and they came back. And the best they could get was probably, without dropping the A-bombs, was 38th parallel. But he was a great man, Chesty. But sometimes you got to kind of pull your horns in. You know?
Well, Kevin Malone in the chat is saying that Chesty Puller was once told their position was surrounded, and he said, "Good, now they can't get away."
That's him. That was him. He, like I said, he loved the Marines, and when he made a visit to, I guess it was Camp Lejeune, and they put on a show for him, marching and everything. And after the parade was over, he said to the commanding general of the base, he says, "Now bring me to the real Marines in the brig."
Yeah. Nice.
It's true story.
Yeah, nice.
He was quite a man, except there's a terrible price. There's a terrible price that a lot of guys had to pay for that title, U.S. Marine. My lieutenant in 14 truck, his name was Joe Pizzamenti, and he was from Brooklyn, and he joined the Marine Corps in 42. And, you know, he was in a lot of main battles going up the chain of islands in the South Pacific. And he ended up in Iwo Jima. And his whole platoon died. He was the only guy, I believe, that was left. And he told me, he said, "Tommy, I was a peacetime Marine." And he said to me, "Tommy, thank God you never had to go to war." My whole head changed at that moment.
Right.
Because I thought, you know, going to war was glorious and all that good stuff. No.
Maybe not so much. Yeah.
I was very lucky because
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't realize how lucky you are because you hopscotched through a couple of wars there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so anyway, we had that. So we were waiting for a kid to come to 14 truck to report into the fire department. It was Jimmy Mulvey, big kid. And he was about maybe 6'1", 6'2", and about 240. Too big to be a fireman climbing ladders, man. Too big. And Joe Pizzamenti, because the kid was in combat in Vietnam, and Joe Pizzamenti showed him the greatest respect. And this kid was a great kid. And of course, he wanted to come to Harlem. Harlem always had a good rap for fire duty. They always once in a while had the Harlem Spectacular on Lenox Avenue. We don't know how they got those fires started, man. But when first two engine, it's blowing out of 30 windows. How do you do that? How do you do that?
I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Neither do I. And the engines would start to flying. And I still remember going home and telling my wife, Gigi, I see the thing today that I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe that men actually put that fire out. And of course, you know who is the unsung heroes of this job? Finally, they're giving recognition to the engine companies, because without those guys, nobody looks good.
Yep.
Nobody looks good. And now they're taking care of those engine companies, giving them medals every year. Because just showing up in an engine, you get a medal. Because I still don't know my job. Because I was a pro, I'd always be with the officer on the inside of the building, and I would pop the doors. And it was like 35 engine, 36 engine, 59, 58, all those guys. And I would force the door, and there would be a ball of fire about maybe 20 feet down. And as soon as the air hit that ball of fire, the fire came right up at you as like the A train. I mean, and they would crack the nozzle, and they'd have to hit the floor, and they'd be laying on the floor, hitting the fire. And I said to myself, my first day, I said, we're going to fucking die here. I don't know what to say. It just was the most eye-opening deal I've ever seen in my life. And I always had the utmost respect for the engine company. So we had a guy in the band, McSweeney. We just buried him last week. Great guy. And he joined the band when he was a little older. So one day we're at band practice, and he said, Tommy, he said, did you ever work in an engine? And I said, only when I had to. You know what I mean? When I was detailed.
Yeah.
I was afraid somebody would take the spot. You know? Why didn't you want to go in the engine? And I looked him right in the fucking eye, and I said to him, because I ain't tough enough.
I like it.
No, it's true, man.
And you know what? You had some of the I mean, back then, when you think about the guys that were putting out those fires all the time, you had the real real deal. You know what I mean? They were doing the real deal.
First of all, they had no mask, no bunking gear. You know, the roll-up boots, no mask, and
dungarees. And I never heard a guy. Now I don't know. I never heard a guy in Harlem complain. That's very, very strange. They never complained. I never heard the guys in 35, 36, 59, 58 never complained.
You know why, Tommy? Because they had a lot of work.
No time to complain.
No time to complain, right? When you have a lot of work, every time there's no work, guys get bitchy, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's just I would go back to some of their firehouses that like just to get the shit out of my eyes and stuff like that. But they would just go get a clean shirt on and go out the door. Then of course my favorite thing when the guys, I remember 58 engine one winter night, it was really cold, and they all got knocked out in the job, maybe at 111th Street and 5th Avenue, whatever it was, and they laid them out as cordwood. 5 guys lined up, and the doctor stepping over their bodies, looking. Take an hour. A half hour. So that doctor got a nickname, and you know we used to call him the Angel of Death. Like the Mengele. There was a guy, I think his name was Tommy Grant, and I think he was the treasurer of the UFA, whatever he was. But I think he worked in Harlem somewhere up in the South Bronx. But anyway, he got sick and tired of hearing about the firemen laying on the sidewalk for an hour, waiting for somebody to come to help them. But they just laid there. And there was no ambulances coming and stuff so they would take them back to the firehouses and stuff. So he went down to the mayor and told him, you got to take better care of these firemen. In the middle of winter, leaving them laying on the sidewalk, waiting to get a blanket on them is lunacy. There was no ambulances. They only had the regular city ambulances. Then they had maybe 3 ambulances in Harlem. So anyway, they ignored him as usual. They ignored him. So he went out and he bought a casket, and he got about 1,000 guys one day, and we marched up from Lafayette Street, where the medical office was, with this casket, and we marched up to City Hall, and they flanked City Hall with the mounted police. And they grabbed 4 guys, and they dragged them into City Hall, and the firemen got pissed. And they started chanting, "Give him back, give him back." And there was a little tussle, and the horses started nudging the firemen away from City Hall Plaza. Some rascals had ball bearings in their pockets, and they threw the ball bearings out
on the floor.
And
Horses went down.
The tumble.
No
Whoop.
shit.
The horses went down, and I didn't like that, but they got the point.
Yeah.
To let the firemen go. They didn't want to see. They didn't want to see.
Yeah, they don't want to do that. That I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. No, but the boss, the people at City Hall didn't want to recognize that the fireman had a bitch.
Mm.
You know, the illicit swine. You know.
Mm.
So that's that little story, you know. And they let them go, and they started having staggered hours. Instead of having 300 guys squeezed in a room 10 by 10, they started, "No, you come at 1 o'clock, you come at 2.
Right.
So they started getting a little bit humane.
More organized.
Yeah. The best, one more thing. The best fire commissioner was after Fitzpatrick and Frisby got killed when the rope broke. A guy by the name of Joe Hines. He was the Brooklyn DA. And that was later, maybe, or I forget. But Joe Hines said to the big shots downtown, "The captain runs the firehouse. No more remote control from headquarters. The captain runs the firehouse." And if a man like Joe Hines didn't come along, the fire department would have, after Fitzpatrick and Frisby's death, would have been a big problem. And I think Joe Hines saved the fire department from kind of disintegrating.
Tommy, talk about the other the fire commissioner when you were getting on the job. Yeah.
I wanted to back him up a little bit, but because after the Marine Corps, he actually drove a bus as a city bus driver, right, from 64 to 67.
Yeah.
So what made you want to become a fireman then?
I knew one guy real good, Jimmy Gentilesco, and he was a fireman down on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Jimmy, and he was a tough guy and a good guy. And he said to me one day, he said, "Tommy, why don't you try to be a fireman?" And I said, "Well," I said, "you know, I had a little bit of trouble as a kid and stuff like that. Nothing bad, dumb stuff. Never hurt no one." And I said, "I don't know. I don't think they'd want me on the fire department. Because in those days, if you had 2 parking tickets, they wouldn't appoint you."
Really?
The fire department was very puritanical in those days. It was a very, very, you had, in fact, I heard that the guys, they didn't want divorced men. It was a very, very different job.
Didn't want what? What was that?
Divorce.
Oh, shit. I would have been in trouble, bro.
It was a different time. And you got to remember, the guys who were running the job, when I came on the job, they came on the job before World War II. Got it? Okay. So these guys lived through the Depression, and they lived in a different world. And everything had to be squared away. The captain, I was told that the captain lived in the firehouse. So, and you didn't have like days off. You got to leave for 8, 12, maybe 12 hours to go home, see Molly, and have a little dance lesson. You know, it was just like that. But you didn't get really days off. It was a very 80 hours a week. 80 hours a week of being in the firehouse. Something like that. See, we had these old company journals, and we'd go upstairs and we'd read them. Are you shitting me? You know, and if you ever heard the term hair bag,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
we have. Yes, yes, of course.
We have one on the show called Ball Bag. But,
that's another part of that thing.
another one.
A hair bag is a guy who was sent by the captain to get a haircut. And you had to bring a bag with you and take the cut hair and bring it back to the captain. Hair bag.
So he believed that you went to get a haircut.
Got it.
So how did that transform into somebody being a shit bag or a hair bag?
I guess that was another department. I don't know what that was. But the hair bag.
So maybe the hair bag was a guy who had to get told to get a haircut because
they didn't trust him because he wouldn't do the right thing.
He was a dirty hippie. He had long hair.
He's a dirty hippie.
Hippie. That's before hippie, Pete.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm trying to show you the captain. Those old guys, they ran a tight ship.
Right.
They ran a tight ship. And of course, there were things allowed, and some things weren't allowed.
Right.
But the captain was the boss.
All right. So this guy, it tells you to take the test. What year did you actually take the test? If you got assigned,
I failed the test. I failed the test twice.
You really wanted the job.
Of course.
Come on.
Come on, guy.
I went to Delahanty for 2 weeks, and that was it. That was the big school.
Holy, they had Delahanty back then?
Yeah, there was Delahanty, yeah.
Delahanty must have been for decades then, man. That's been around forever,
Yeah.
Delahanty.
Well, I operated when I tried to get on the job, and I failed the test twice. And the third time, my mother said a week of rosaries. Okay,
A whole week.
That's good. She put a good word in.
She went to church every week. It said rosaries. And when I was taking when I opened up the third time I was taking the test, and I read the first question, I said, "Well, that's the end of my fireman career." They actually asked algebra, and they asked geometry, and you had to write an English composition like 10 lines.
What?
Yeah.
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 So the rosary helped out, obviously.
My hand was probably held by the Blessed Mother because I was writing down the extra.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, Tom, did that robe help you score all the babes or what?
No, this was only on the beach. Only on the beach.
Oh, babes.
I got you. Sorry, I was touching back to it.
I know you were.
Thanks, Jethro, bro.
No, this robe was only to hide my pink body and my tattoos. I know.
Oh shit! All right, so third time's a charm. You've passed the test and you get on in 1967. And how do you get to ladder 14? How do you go to Harlem? You knew somebody, or they just set you to Harlem?
You know, it was a thing that there was an officer up there, Bob O'Brien, and he was a World War II guy. He was a PT boat guy, and he wanted to get some kid, you know, because he had a lot of World War II guys there. I mean, there's one of the guys there was a dog gunner over Germany. Come on, 8th Air Force. He did 2 tours. Yeah. So they wanted somebody that they could kind of trust them. The one good thing about the military is you had to do what you were told. Like if an officer told me to do something, I always did it, no matter how stupid it was, because there was a reason. That's the way I handle it. I only had one problem with one officer. He in my whole time on the job, no names, but we had a guy there had a little bit of a problem. and he turned them in. He turned them in.
Really?
Okay. And a visiting officer does not turn a fireman in another company.
No way.
That's up to the officer from that company, because you're not showing that officer or the company any respect. You take care of your own. And this guy had a problem, and he was a great guy. But I think the fire marshals got involved, and it really got dirty. And the guy just put his papers in. And I told you,
I don't think that happened like that back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
They in those days, they took care of their problems inside the firehouse. They really did. You know, they kind of monitored, you know, what they were going. They were good. The senior men were great. They would tell you, hey.
They had the basement back then, Tommy?
What?
They have the basement to iron out your problems back then?
Base?
The basement. You go to the basement to iron out your
problems? Oh, yeah. There was, yeah. I avoided that.
I was just gonna ask you if you ever wound up in the basement.
I didn't want to fight nobody. I didn't want to fight nobody.
And Ruffy, is that like a nationwide thing, or is that like an FDNY thing where you go in the basement?
Nah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it was around the country, you know, in that time. I'm sure it was. You know, but most of the time you took care of your problems that way.
Yeah, but that was up until we were on the job. You take care of it in the basement.
It's not just in the fire service; it's also in the military. The military as well. They also have that too.
You go outside. You just go outside. This way, you hope you don't get fired. You know,
right.
I mean, you crack a guy and you knock him out. He fractures his skull. What are you gonna do in?
Yeah.
There's no repeat performances. You really don't want to fight in the performances. Maybe he goes outside to throw his body in the Harlem River. I mean, but it's bad business.
Yeah. So, you know, Tommy, when you got on the job at 67, what made you want to join the band, the pipe band, right away? I mean, did you have?
I heard before I was a fireman. I heard before there was a pipe band, and my mother. The first time I heard bagpipes, I was about 8 years old, and I went to see Gunga Din. Remember that movie with Cary Grant? Gunga Din.
Water, Gunga Din.
You're a better man than I, Gunga Din. And we always use those words in the firehouse. For some reason, that became like a code word. You know, Gunga Din was brave. And he died warning the soldiers coming, and he was on top of the temple. So that fit into my jukebox, because when I heard those pipes, I knew what they were. But I just knew, and I asked my mother, "Oh yeah, Tommy, those are the bagpipes." They played them in Scotland, and we played them in Ireland. The Irish pipes are a little bit different. There's another story about the bagpipes. But anyway, if there was a time in Ireland and Scotland, the English, if they caught you with bagpipes, they hung you on the spot.
Yeah.
Really?
Outlaw pipes, yeah.
Yes.
And do you have the video of him playing in the band? Do you have any of that?
I do, but you know, before I have a video of him in the band, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But you know, I have to show you guys what kind of fun stuff goes on in the band with his bulldog tattoo over here. Look at this. Look at it. He can make his bulldog smoke a cigar apparently out of his belly button there.
Fat would just roll over the top of the cigar.
So these are the shenanigans that go on in band. I guess it's like kind of like being like the Irish Axl Rose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tommy, you wearing any drawers under that kilt or what, bro?
No.
You going commando?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, here,
Yeah.
let's play. Let's show everybody you playing here. We have a really great song here.
This was
Hold
his
on.
80th. This was his 80th birthday at the Firehouse.
Here we go.
Where, at the rescue tree?
Yep.
Nice.
All right, here we go.
What can I
That
say?
was amazing. That was amazing, Tom.
That doesn't want to make you get up and salute the
I
flag,
swear to
you
God,
non-American motherfucker.
I just it gives me the
I
hair
said
on
my
my
hair
arm
stands up. My
Yeah.
hair stands
man.
up every time.
every
Oh,
time, man.
I still get a tear in my eye. When
I know. I'm welling
I
up
got
myself.
choked up.
I don't know. I just love it.
I can tell you one thing, that robe makes the rounds, doesn't it?
Does that thing stand up in the corner when you take it home? What do you do with that thing?
That's some good shit. Tommy, that's some
Unbelievable.
good shit, bro. So 1967, you get on the job and you join the pipe band. Then you go to Harlem. 3 minutes into your first tour, you catch a second alarm. I mean, is this what else could go right for this guy? Are you kidding me?
we had 5 roasts at that fire.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What
If it wasn't for a guy coming up to the floor, but I don't know what happened. The captain, I heard, fell down the stairs. So I went up to where the captain was supposed to be, wasn't there. So one of the senior guys knew that there was a kid upstairs by himself above the fire. And I'm trying to force the door. And he pulled me down to the floor. Says, wait till get the glass to let all the heat out of the apartment. Because if you just walk in, if you force the door and walk into an apartment that's unvented, you'll die. Sometimes it's 1,200 degrees if you're standing up. So if you don't have a mask on and you take a suck of air, you're going in. So Roy Wallster, anyway, dragged me to the floor. He heard the glass break. Now we popped the door. We got in about 5 feet, and I thought they were like throat covers or seats, plastic or feathers or whatever. And then when it cleared out, they were human beings. They were people.
holy shit.
A man and a woman in 3 bays.
This was your first job.
First job.
Wow.
Like 5 minutes into the tour.
Correct tour. Yes.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must have had some stuff going through your mind at that point. Holy mackerel.
I went home and I told my wife, I said, Susie, I think I'm going to go back to beauty school.
Hey, that would be enough to send me back to beauty school.
Holy
Jeez.
mackerel. That's tough.
incredible.
It was, and see, in those days it was like tough love, and so being the junior man, you gotta do all the things, and that's okay, and so they said to me, McTigue, go down and get the body bags out of the truck. So yeah, okay, I went down and I think we had 3 body bags. And and they were the canvas, the old ones. So I got them and I brought them up. And the people laying on the floor there. And They tried to they wanted to cover them a little bit, especially the kids, and so they were moving the people around, and it was so hot in that apartment that when they touched their arms, all the skin just came off there.
Oh my God.
So they wanted to see if I would be able to start the process of putting the people in the bag, and I just started picking. I think I put the woman, the top of her, and then one of the senior guys grabbed the legs and put her in, and then I took the man, and then we took the children, and we wrapped them in sheets, and I just said, wow, you can't, so just to kind of toughen me up a bit, they started talking about lunch.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's like we say all the time, like they try and change your mindset, a little bit, like you said.
No,
it's just...
no, it wasn't that at all. They started talking about lunch, and it turned out one of the guys says, we'll go get the rare beef. We'll get rare beef.
Oh my goodness.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I can feel my ass fall off.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, all I can say is that
some old war guys. That's who those guys are. Those old war guys.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about that before, Ruffy. Like the time that Tommy came on, those were World War II guys, man. So,
yeah, there was nothing you were going to show those guys that they were
those guys anything,
shocked about. Right. They weren't shocked about anything, right?
Nope. Just it was an amazing. That first job was probably the best thing that happened to me on the fire department, because then I watched everything. I watched, and I would watch how the senior guys, how would they go into an apartment, always on your hands and knees, because you never know if there was a floor there. So you always went in there. If you couldn't see, you had to just use your hands or use the tool in front of you. And I had just to change the pace for a second, I had a lieutenant, and he was a great guy, but he was a worrier. And he's gone now, so I can mention him. He was a good man, but he was a worrier, and he hated writing accident reports. And I would get off the truck, and I would have something like a cinder block would bounce off my head or something. I mean, so I was always getting like nails through the hands, or a nice nail in the eye, all that good shit, And he said, I'm sick and fucking tired of these fucking reports. You stay with me. We catch a job over there in West Harlem, one of those great old 1920 spectacular apartment houses, where the hallway was about as long as a football field. Try getting it down that hallway to the apartment at the end of the building with one line. It didn't work. You had to get a whole bunch of... Well, anyway, we get into one of these old, great apartment houses in Harlem, and he said, all right, start working on the door, force the door, Okay, Lou, and I don't know where the other guy, the cameraman was. So he started banging the Halligan tool. All right, at the ad's end and all that. And all right, Lou, I gotta bite you. Boom! And then,
oh no.
Yeah, no, the door flies open.
Oh, all right.
He says, I'm going in now. Don't you go in there first. I'm going in. He gets in about 3 feet. He didn't know it, but the floor was burned away into the fall. One floor down he went.
Holy.
Was he all right?
No, he retired the following. He moved to California, to one of those beautiful towns in Upper California.
Napa or something?
Give me a couple of names of California towns in middle
San Diego, Napa. What is it there? San Francisco.
No.
Sacramento.
Beverly Hills.
No.
Libtown.
Huh?
Libtown.
Anyway, he moved, retired one of these picturesque towns and a beautiful place. Well, guess what happened to him?
What?
His home burned down twice.
Oh, shit.
The fires? Oh, my God.
So finally, God was good to him, and it gave him a massive heart attack when he was 60.
Oh,
shit.
no. That's the word of the day. Don't get killed.
There was no justice for Frank Crimmy. Poor Frank. And he joined they had the retirement, a group of like cops and firemen. So they joined these retired groups out in California. So he goes down to the fireman group in San Diego, right? And he goes in there and he's sitting there and he realizes that he recognized some of these guys. And Eddie Guile was the world's toughest Jew.
Hey!
I thought it was Mikey Milner.
No.
Now, Eddie Guile.
Correct.
Eddie Guile lived at 138th Street in Brown Place off Brook Avenue. You didn't want to be anybody coming from there, but Eddie Guile, his mom was Irish, his father was Jewish. Eddie Guile had more fights than Jack Dempsey. He fought everything. But he was beautiful. Guess who? When he said, okay, Eddie Guile was there, retired fireman from Rescue 3, and Frank Crimmy, lieutenant from 14 Truck. Guess who he asked Frank Crimmy, Eddie Guile? Who do you think he asked the lieutenant? He says, "Hey, you worked my friend Tommy McTigue." He got up and left. Got up and left. It was great. It was great. And that's it. I mean, poor Frank. He was worried too much.
So, Tommy, back in the when you got in there in '67, were you guys working straight tours? Were you working 24s? What were you working over there?
No 24s.
No 24s.
Straight tours.
Straight tours.
Yeah.
So you were catching some work there. So what makes you go to Rescue 3? Why do you want to go to Rescue 3?
Well, Jimmy McGowan was a lieutenant up there in Rescue 3. And Jimmy was a great guy. He became a big guy in the union and all that stuff. But he loved the band. He loved the bagpipe music. He loved it. By the way, his son today is a big shot up in Albany with the New York State Professional Firefighters Association stuff. Great kid. Young Jimmy, great. But his dad was, I used to think of him as a magician because he had the greatest line. He could talk anybody out of anything. Okay. So his thing, he had a whole repertoire when he would report into the chiefs. And he would give the whole Rescue 3 report in his audit, "Sir, how can we help you?" And all that. And meanwhile, everybody's oh. And they would talk around, and he would say, "What do you need?" He would ask the chief, and the chief said, "Well, do this, do that, vent the upper floors, go to the next building, start cutting the roof." Because sometimes a lot of guys didn't show up, you know what I mean? Because they were running all over the place. So he would make a big deal. He says, "Oh, I'll do it by the numbers." He says, "Okay, first order of business, you got to search for life." He says, "That's correct. Do a good search and then we'll start. Okay, but he said, I just want you to know one thing. Now, of course, somebody downtown to see this say, "Oh my God, how could he say that?"
Allegedly, it happened. Could have happened. We're not sure if it happened. Allegedly.
Anyway, so the chief, like I said, gave many orders, and he says, "Chief, Chief, I'll do everything. My men will do everything." He says, "But we have two guys back. We have two guys tied up in the back of the rig, and they went crazy drunk on me." So.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Could have been. Well, you saved their life. They saved their lives. That's what they did. They were just looking out for them.
It's just, yeah.
Make it up. Yeah.
Only 3 guys on the rig. 2 guys tied up there.
Maybe could have happened. I heard it happened. I heard about it. I don't know.
It was, and Jimmy was he was a great boss, and of course, Jimmy he was there a long time, and and Jimmy's boss was Charlie Bishop. Did anybody remember Charlie Bishop?
No, I don't know. No.
Charlie Bishop was the first black captain in the rescue company, and Charlie liked guys from busy areas. He just figured you're better off with a guy who's been around the block a few times than a young kid and all that. He was a smart man. So Jimmy would do most of the recruiting and stuff, and Jimmy did a good job. So I turned him down a couple of times because I had a good spot down in Fort City. I was inside most of the time. I'd force the tours, and I like that because I whatever's going on, you're right there and all that. But I started realizing that at the time, geez, I got 11 years down here you start knowing every brick on the block. Yeah.
You guys had smaller areas too up there at that time, right?
We had one of the smallest running boards because, and that we had the only fire tower left in Mount Morris Park, and because they used to send a man from 14 truck back in the early 1900s, and that was his detail for, I guess, 4 hours a night, and it was very congested. And a lot of people don't know that Harlem at one time on the east side there, they had a lot of squareheads. Sailors from Sweden and Norway. So on the corner of 125th and Lexington, they had Estonian Hall, and they were people from Northern Europe, and they would go away on ships and stuff before World War II. They'd be gone a year, and the firemen, look after these people. They were like from the old country. They were talking, they're talking Norwegian or Sweden, whatever it was, and the firemen were good to them. And then the war came, and everything changed, and a lot of those guys never came back. They were in the Merchant Marine, so
Merchant Marines, right.
Yeah, so they died by the hundreds. So everything started changing down there, and then the fires started coming in real big time in the 60s. The drugs and the guns and the murder and the old people, the ones who were left, the old Swedes and everything. They used to put they'd put plywood in their windows, covering the fire escape,
so that nobody would come in.
They were coming in at night, and they were stealing their $23 Social Security, and it became a hellhole. I mean, really, for the old people, black and white, it was a hellhole.
Yeah.
I know that's not politically correct today to say, but I'll tell the truth. It was a hellhole for anybody who lived there, and they always covered that up. And what was the name of the first black fire commissioner? I don't.
You said it, Coobs, before. Beekman?
Gus Beekman.
Beekman.
No. He was the fire commissioner.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, what did you just ask?
I asked. There was a black police commissioner.
Oh, police commissioner. I don't know. I thought you said fire commissioner.
And And he was the only guy in power who ever said that black crime is an outrage and nobody will talk about it because it's not politically correct.
What was that? What year was that?
That started about 60, 63, 64.
Tommy, they're saying Ben Ward. Is that it? Ben Ward?
Could be Ben Ward. I think he was the only man who talked about the crime down in Harlem. And everybody avoided that because, well, white guys, New York Times. Are you serious? I mean, it's a joke. They would never talk about people trying to kill the firemen. They would never talk about people making booby traps and trying to kill us in the hallway.
Yeah.
One of the favorite with the bad guys in the neighborhood. Now, as you notice, I say bad guys. There's more good guys than bad guys, but the bad guys, they'll kill you. Okay. So I said it. Bad guys kill you. Good people try to survive, and they're brutalized by the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So why can't people talk the truth? You know why? Because we lost our balls.
Amen, brother.
Balls. You name one time.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
He ain't lying.
He ain't lying.
You name the only guy that I know of in American politics is that guy Rand Paul from Kentucky. He's the only guy who tells the truth. But again, he's a politician, so you can't trust.
Right.
All right, so where are we? Rescue 3. Let's move on.
He gets to Rescue 3 in 1978, right?
Yes.
How was that transition to Rescue 3 from 14 truck?
It was I missed the guys in 14 truck. I tried to bring up a couple of guys. Luckily, Eddie Siri, Tommy Conroy, and there was another guy. I just forget. But they came up to Rescue 3. And this guy, Eddie Siri, man can do anything. He's one of these Mency guys. But I always used to, and he'd get mad because he knew like that you'd get an order from someplace. And Eddie would say, no, we shouldn't be doing this. We got to do it this way. And Eddie was too smart to be a fireman because he was like really officer material. He was. So anyway, he came to Rescue 3 and he was happy there. And then he made a mistake to get promoted, and they sent him out to a very quiet place in Queens, and he wasn't.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
He just wasn't happy.
Right.
And he like I said, he was a dynamite injureman. And he was a dynamite rescue man. He could do anything. He could fix anything. There's another guy, Jimmy McCoy, down there in 14. He could build a house. In fact, there was a guy in rescue, Jerry Murtha.
Yeah, we had Jerry on. Yep, Jerry. Yep.
And Jerry Murphy pulled probably one of the best technical rescues ever performed in the fire department. That woman who deployed LaGuardia.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So he gets in there with a couple of guys, and they're on the wing and this and that, and they get in there. I don't know how they got in there, but they got into the compartment, and the water was almost up to her nose, and she was locked into the seat because the seat's crushed back on her, and her seat was bolted into the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to get her out with the Halligan tube. No, because she had to go into the water. Blah, blah, blah. We ain't getting this woman out. She's not getting out of here. And don't ask me how Jerry thought of this. He told the guys on the wing, tell them to extend the tower ladder with the Hearst tool in it, and we're gonna pop the seats with the rivets with the jaws of life with the Hearst tool, and they pulled it off. and they saved that woman's life. And
That was a great rescue.
Yeah, man.
Right? Who would think of that?
Yeah.
Yep.
He didn't have much time.
And by the way, when this is all going on,
The
with him
plane's
in
sinking.
the water, with the plane is.
man.
Yeah.
I forget the other guy who was with him inside, and the guys on the wing of the plane, and I was retired. I was long gone, and I was working downtown. And I heard on the radio, and then Jerry called me, and then he told me that when a big thing like that happens, a lot of guys want to get into the game. You know what I'm saying? And we called Tommy Riley, God rest his soul, and everybody had to tell exactly what they did. So sometimes guys try to steal somebody else.
Yeah, Thunder. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I think Mikey Milner was involved in that.
Yeah, Milner was there. Chris Blackwell, I think.
Yes.
Blackwell.
Chris.
Yep.
I think was in him on the inside. That's correct. And that shot, I mean, look, all those things. I think that I seen the last scaling ladder rescue in West Harlem.
No shit.
Yeah. The last time they used a scaling ladder, and I think it was a guy from 69 Engine. We were in this courtyard where it was all open ground, and they had building here, a building there, and a building. So it was like a square. And we were in the back, right in the middle, and you had to come through there through a little alleyway, so you couldn't get another truck in there, couldn't get nothing there except maybe a 35-foot ladder, but she was up there 55 feet or whatever it was.
No shit.
And this guy, now, I still to this day, I know I wasn't drinking.
That day.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I see this short guy with a scaling ladder go up the outside of the building 5 stories.
No shit.
And
Wow.
he goes, and she was a big woman. I mean, we're talking big. He got her onto the scaling ladder and brought her below the fire. And I'm standing with another guy, and I said to him, "Did you see that?"
That's crazy,
And
man.
he was one of those short engine guys, about 5'6", about 2. I had to be a gorilla. I didn't do that.
I don't know. That's incredible.
There was stuff that was never reported. Now, that guy should have got the James Gordon Bennett Medal and all that sort of stuff, but it just didn't happen.
That happened a lot, though, right, Tommy? Guys didn't get accolades that they might get nowadays, right? It's just was part of doing the business and doing the job,
Oh, wait a minute! I know I have a picture here. Well, this guy. This is Billy Murphy. This is the first guy.
Raise it up a little bit.
Hold it up a little, Tommy.
Hold it up a little bit, buddy.
Perfect.
There you go.
This guy, Billy Murphy, was from 26 Truck, and he worked with Fitzy down there for years. And they would always go over to the west side and swing from the roof with the roof ropes. They trusted the roof ropes. And when they would go out on BI, they'd be swinging off the roof with the roof ropes and all that. And I never trusted those ropes because they had no body. They had soft nylon. And I know that you got to have hard rope. Now, we used to have that manila rope, the old manila rope. We used to call it the horse cock, right?
My word.
My word.
My word.
Go ahead, Tommy. That's great.
So,
hey, somebody bring the horse cock rope up.
that was in Evolutions, of course, the old cock rope.
I love it.
So, I believed in those ropes, but I didn't believe in the thin nylon with they were all soft, and there was nothing of wire. There was nothing in there, and they would burn in a second. In fact, this guy here, Jimmy Lee, he rescued that old Irishman uptown a couple of years ago, and that rope too burned. He got on the ground, and the bottom 10 feet, they snapped it.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was all burned through. So anyway, this guy Eddie Siri, when he came up to Rescue 3, he knew the ropes were shit. He knew the ropes were no good, and so this guy was he would take leave of absence, and he was in the Marine Corps Reserve, and they told me he stayed with his old recon company in Vietnam, and he'd go there for 2 months. He was into Vietnam. Who knows what's going on? He never told anybody. And anyway, so Eddie Siri started going over. The French firemen knew who this guy was, and they would invite him to come, and he would climb the mountains, the Alps, with the French firemen. They call them pompiers. Okay, and over there in France and Germany, they treat the fire department. They're part of the army, so nobody fucks with them. The politicians can't pull any shit like they do here. You know what's going on, and they don't touch them. They train. Well, he would train with the French firemen up in the mountains, and he took a 10-foot length of a nylon rope that we had on the rig at the time. And the French captain said to him, "We wouldn't tie our dogs up with that shit."
We're hanging guys off the side.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
So you're going to talk about that job, right, Tommy? The Fitzpatrick and
Yeah.
I'd like you to talk about it. I've never heard the firsthand knowledge of that job.
Number one, I was not there. They called me at home, and I went down to the hospital, and Fitzy and Jerry was in there, and all the guys, they came in where Fitzy was lying, and there was a doctor. There was a doctor who used to ride in Rescue 3. Grenier was it? Grenier, and he lived in Houston, and he would come up to New York all the time. And he tried to save Fitzy. Now I don't know if he opened Fitzpatrick's chest on the rig or if he opened his chest in the hospital, but he opened Fitzy up and he tried to massage his heart.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
But what happened before that? Back it up a little bit. What?
Jesus.
Oh, so it was a fire, and they were at another fire in the Bronx, and it was special called over there to Harlem, 151st in Amsterdam, and they had a serious fire condition on the top floor. It was like a 7-story building, and so they special called them, and they went right there, and the guys said to each other, "You better take a rope." So they grabbed 28 trucks rope, and we would always run in with other companies, and they would send them back to quarters, and sometimes they left their tools, or they forget about the rope that they took to the roof. So they had 28 trucks roof rope. So they said, "Well, 28 is here. We're going to take this rope and go up to the roof and see what happens." Instead of taking their rope, because why have two? You have one. Boom, go. So anyway, to make a long story short, Billy Murphy, he knew Fitzpatrick was. He could hear the screaming down below. He was on the roof, Murphy, and he knew there was trouble. So He had one of the guys help him tie off on the roof, and he went on over the roof with his personal rope, and he tried to get
No
Gerry
shit.
Frisby out of the fire window, and the fire was blowing out over the kid's head. And the kid passed out laying on the baby bars. You know those bars they
No
have?
shit. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Now this is Frisbee, right? Who was
Frisbee.
Frisbee,
So,
yeah.
so Fitzpatrick went out on his personal rope.
No, Murphy went out on his personal rope.
Okay.
And he tried to get him.
Right.
And he couldn't get him with only one arm because you had the baby bars.
Right.
So I hold on with one hand.
Right. He's holding his brake. Right.
Right.
The brake, yeah. So he tried pulling the bars off. Couldn't get the kid. Couldn't.
Wow.
Luckily, 93 engine was on the fire escape with a system hood, and they dragged Murphy back to the fire escape. So they saved his life because the fire eventually would have burned through his
rope. Right.
There you go. So Fitzpatrick's up and over. He hears the whole commotion. Didn't say nothing to nobody. Told one of the guys, "I'm going over. Tie me off." Ba ba ba. No questions asked. So the guys, they had the ropes. A couple of guys got together. They're going to lower him down. He went down. Fitzpatrick went down. Right in front of the kid. Pulled the baby bars off the window.
Oh shit.
Went under his arm and he picked this guy up. And they're watching this from the roof. Picked the kid up, locked in the chest, around the arms, the whole thing, stepped off. The rope broke.
Oh my God.
The rope broke from fire impinging on it, or the rope broke just
The weight.
the weight. And how many stories were they up?
7
Tom?
stories, Kev.
And a lot of things were said, but this, I was talking to the guys who've seen this with their own eyes. Forget all the other stuff. And the DA would not investigate. Morgenthau, he walked away from it.
Morgenthau, that's an old name. Holy shit.
Morgenthau ignored it. And the officer went down there and they said it's been investigated. And
That's an incredible feat right there. I mean, just thinking about going down on a rope in general, and then to rip the bars to grab somebody unconscious who's laying there.
How about Murph going down on?
I mean, the whole thing. I mean, we don't do that. I mean,
Murphy before that, when he was down in 26 truck and he was with Fitzy, he rescued a family, Puerto Rican family, happened to be. And by the way, I was always angry when these so-called do-gooders would say that the firemen are racist. They always said that. There was a woman down there, and she was the editorial director, Abrams, I think her name was. Years ago. And she wrote an article about the old boys club and how racist they are and this and that. And I just couldn't, where the hell did this woman come? But how dare she even think that?
well, it's easy to write anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it hurt the fire department because some people read that shit and they believe that.
Right,
Yeah.
they believe it.
I never seen a fireman refuse to go into a building because of somebody's skin color. I gave mouth-to-mouth countless times. Countless.
Yeah.
Who didn't look like me. Didn't bother me in the least. It was my job.
Yeah. And you know the thing is, Tommy, too, when you go into a fire, guess what? You can't see shit. So you don't know what color the guy is. You don't know what sex the guy is. You don't know what the person is.
Listen, we gave mouth-to-mouth the guys with AIDS, man.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? So these so-called intellectuals, the people who are destroying the fire department as we speak, we all know what's going on. They don't want that stuff anymore. If this was happening to black guys today, Al Sharpton would have shut this city down 2 years ago. Now they don't want the white kid. Well, the white kids were good kids. Why are we being blamed for the sins of people 150 years ago? If you want to go after anybody, go after the Supreme Court back in 1850. Go after the banks up there in England and New York City who financed the slave trade. Yeah. Go to the boat builders. Go to the insurance companies in Hartford who insured the slave boats. Nobody's talking about that. You really want to get the bad guys?
No, they don't. They don't want to get the bad guys. They just want to. Yeah. They just want to create division. That's it.
The second biggest slave market was in America.
The Irish.
Wall Street. Wall Street. On the east side, Wall Street. That was the second biggest slave auction area in the country after Charleston, South Carolina. So when you hear all this nonsense, dig a little deeper. They all got rich.
They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
No. So they'll blame some working class kid. Oh, you're not going to get a job as a fireman anymore because you're white. It's closed. They don't want you anymore.
Hey, Tommy, I want to. Matt Beatty texted me. He's like, you got to ask him about jumping off the train to get to work on time. What's the story with that?
Oh, this was a situation where I didn't even know this was going on until it had to happen. I had a captain, and the captain and I we weren't like kind of, and it was like he kind of.
I got it. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And he says, "Look, you were late last month." I said, "Yeah, that's because I got crashed in the car. I couldn't walk. I mean, forgive me, and all that." So he says, "I don't want you here anymore. You go to the Bronx somewhere." Well, I didn't have a car. At the time, the money wasn't that good, and so I didn't have a car. I had to get a cruiser, and I got hit by a truck, and blah blah blah. Okay. So I had to start taking the train from Brewster. So, unbeknownst to me, they changed the schedule the next day I was coming into work.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And that meant it didn't stop at 125th Street.
He jumped off the train while it was going to go past the stop.
Yeah. So,
what?
I'm in the South Bronx, and I'm looking out, and the train always, when they got in sight of the bridge going over the Harlem River, it slowed down to about 20 miles an hour. Just glide into the station, and it would stop. Well, this day, it just kind of kept rolling along, and I said, "Uh-oh." So I got up and said, "Is this train going to stop at 150?" He says, No, they changed the schedule today, going right into Grand Central. Whoa!
Holy shit.
I got to get off the train. I can't be late. The captain's going to kick me out, man. The guy says, I can't do nothing for you. Says, can you pull the string, the cord to stop?
Oh, the emergency stop.
Oh, can't do that. I says, I got to get off, man. I just, all of a sudden, I got calm, and I said,
You got calm.
You can't get off. I said, I got to get off. And these were the old type cars, like from the 40s, where they had the 2-tier doors. You open the top, you open the bottom, and there was like a handle outside the door. So you'd stand up, and you could stand here, and you had to look, and you had to grab that handle. So that's exactly what I did with my knapsack on my back.
Holy shit.
I get to the door, I grab the handle, they grab the other one, and we get into the train station, and we're going pretty fast. Who's lined up with the platform end, right? I hung out, and I'm hanging out there, and I get about 5 feet into the station, and we're going about 35.
Oh my God! What happens if you hit the stanchion?
Tuck and roll.
Well, they had these metal braces holding up the roof.
Yeah, that's called steel.
Steel girders.
Steel girders.
Beach is saying if you panic on the train, you panic on the fire floor.
Dude, that's
I hung up
incredible.
for a while. We got about maybe 20 feet into the stage, 25, and I jumped.
Holy.
And I bounced the whole length.
Holy shit.
In my pants. Down. There were two hookers at the end. When I got downstairs, they were emergency. I got out the emergency exit on 123rd or whatever it was. And they're standing there and they looked at me and they said, "Woo wee."
Ooh, look at that white boy. Ooh,
What?
wee.
I walked into the firehouse. I lost one of my sneakers. I blew up my ass. My knee was shot, but I got my knapsack still hanging on my back. And as soon as I walked in the door, and the captain is sitting there with the pen, and he was ready to write me up, and ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
And I told him
1800.
I made it.
There you go.
And that was the end of him.
When you hit the ground, was there like a second that you thought to yourself, "Oh my God, this is not a good idea"? Like, did you?
Oh,
You
no,
never.
I just thought that I was thinking constantly of, you
That's
know,
freaking
I was
funny,
beyond
man.
that. I was beyond that. It's just,
Dude, at that point, whatever happens, happens.
That is freaking hilarious.
No,
There's a couple more stories here.
I just had to do it. It just, you know, I didn't have the money to have a car, and I didn't want to start commuting to the Bronx.
Yeah. They said there was also somebody else here wrote. You have a funny story about when you went for an interview with the captain of Rescue 3.
Oh yeah, that was great. Now,
I'm sure it was.
this man, his name was Charlie Bishop, and Charlie was the first black captain in Rescue 3, but Charlie was around a long time, and he liked the guys. He was a lieutenant. He was a lieutenant in 60 Engine with Frank O'Rourke, and Frank O'Rourke was he was a fine man, and they were together up there in 60 Engine for a long time. And let's see now, let me get this right. So he became the captain of Rescue 3, and Jimmy McGowan was there, and a lot of guys who were there at the beginning of the 60s, and they always had fires in the South Bronx, and they had a lot of the wood frames in those days in the Bronx. A lot of guys got hurt in those wood frames because they lit up real fast. So Charlie Bishop was a good student too, and to make a long story short, you know, politics and all that. So they thought it would be a good thing to have a black officer on the rescue company. And it was fine. Okay. So McGowan was like Chief Bishop, Captain Bishop's right-hand man. And McGowan was a great organizer. And I would see Jimmy every so often at a dance or a parade, and he would say, "Tommy, would you think about coming to Rescue 3?" And I'd say, I said, "No, Jimmy." I said, "I'm all right down here." I said, "I'm here 10 years now, whatever. And you know, I got a spot, and it's okay." And I started thinking to myself, I said, "You know, I go to the same buildings every day. I know all the bricks by name." And I said, maybe I should go give it a shot. And so I told Jimmy one day, I said, "Yeah," I said, "Jimmy," I said, "I'd like to give that a shot." And boy, it really happened fast. And in those days, you had to get the approval of the
Commander?
Yeah, like the chief who's in charge of the division or whatever.
Division commander, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, that didn't happen. And so I came in one day, and the guys were laughing. And they say, "Hey, Tommy, you're leaving 14 truck." I said, "Where am I going?" He says, You're going up to Rescue 3 with Fitzpatrick. They put us on the order. That didn't happen. You had to go on an onion skin, which is
Right.
where they can get this fucking guy out of here. You know, this is so you never existed. You know? So anyway, I go into the kitchen and the chief is there. I won't mention no name. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And he's sitting there and he says, "Who are you?" Oh, I said, "What?" And he says, "I'm the division commander, and I didn't approve you, and I still don't approve you of transfer." I said, "Chief," and he says, "Who do you know?" I says, "Well," I says, "I know you."
Well, I know you.
And I says, "I didn't do nothing." I says, "I'm just here."
Right. He's yelling at you like you did something. All you did was go.
He didn't like me. No,
Yeah.
because I made the mistake maybe a year or two before. Yeah, he was the guy. I won't say anything bad about it, but he was a guy who didn't have much respect for the firemen. And he didn't like guys who really enjoyed being firemen. I was so proudful of being. I can't tell you how proud I was. I remember walking out of 14 truck as a young guy. I was more than 27, 28 years old. I was kind of getting down there, and I was so proud to be a fireman. I always liked going on the train. New York Central, when I lived in Brewster there, then I moved back. I remember going home in the train with wet work clothes.
Smelling like smoke.
Yes, and wet pants, and my army. I always wore army boots as time went on, because in army boots I could jump, I could climb ladders. I must have lost 5 pairs of boots. One boot would fall off. On the feet in the air, the boot was fall down.
You could jump out of a train in army boots, whatever.
So anyway, I wore the army boots onto the train, and you'd see these guys reading the Financial Times and the New York Times. And one guy said, "Would you mind moving?
You stink."
And I looked at him and I said, "Mister, shut the fuck up." I just, I don't like being like that, but I know people who have, big time educations. They actually feel superior to you,
Right?
and I feel the exact opposite. And
Pete, show him the fighting pictures when he was younger. Go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
I feel that being a fireman was, for a guy like me, was the best calling I could have. I was somebody. I belonged to something that was special.
Yeah, no doubt.
I felt special, and I worked with guys who were special, and I worked with guys who were 100 times better than me, and they never got a crack at the Yankees. I used to look at Rescue 3 as like the Yankees.
The big leagues.
The big leagues, yeah. And I would feel, and I remember as a young fireman, rescue would show up sometimes, and one of the guys in 14 truck said, "Hey, Tommy, stop cutting the roof. Rescue 3 is here." And I said, I had that kind of pride. I said, "Fuck them, I'll cut my own roof."
Well, listen, it's wherever you are, that's the best place on earth, right? Wherever you're working at that time, that's the best place, right? That's how your pride should be for that company.
Yeah. And the fire built a tremendous amount of pride in me because I belonged to something special.
No doubt.
And I knew, and when we were up at the funeral over the weekend, and we're there, we were at kilts, and this kid got killed in the smokehouse up there in upstate New York.
Yeah.
And So we're drinking beer there, and we meet a lot of kids, and you know, and they want to talk to you, and yeah, sure, you know, and they're talking, and you know, and and they think that you're like a big shot or whatever it is, and I said, listen, let me tell you something. I says, there's guys all over this country that could do anything I did and better, and they're everywhere. So just because you come from a small town, I got news for you. When you go to a wood frame building, you're in worse danger than I was in any Harlem or South.
We say that all the time. We say that all the time.
It's true. I know a lot of guys who bought the farm out in Queens, man, showed up at 3 in the morning and go right into the cellar, and they can't get out.
Yep.
Yeah, well, think of those guys, Tommy. They're showing up with a tank of water. That's it. Some of those places, right? So, and 2 guys, right? We say all the time, we kill it with manpower, right? How many guys were in that building when you got in there? 50, 100, right? Pick a number. It's just you got 3 lines coming in. You got.
But I always when kids come over, when kids would come over from Jersey or Pennsylvania to we're on 181st Street, and you know. They were saying, "Oh, I wish I was a New York fireman." And I said, "Well, look," I says, "the only reason I'm a New York fireman, I was born here, and I gravitated to that because I knew one guy, Jimmy Gentilesco." I says, "But you can be a great fireman in Pittsburgh or Oshkosh."
It doesn't matter. No, it don't matter. If you love the job, that's it.
You know what? I know that's a fact because when I was in the Marine Corps. Some of the best guys came from Oshkosh.
Yeah.
Guys, I met a guy, Miller. This guy was terrific. He was a corporal in the Marines, and he loved to drink and fight. He was just one of them guys. And Corporal Miller, they said Corporal Miller was a corporal for 13 years. He had. You know, he has the indentation of the stripes. Well, he was different Irish pennants where the stripes used to be and everything like that. I found out Corporal Miller not only was in Korea, he was chosen the reservoir, and there was a rumor that he was also in World War II, and came out into civilian life and went back in at the beginning of the Korean War. So this guy, even the ticket punchers, some of the officers, we found out where they did their wartime, like that they were in the Pentagon. So how are you going to respect some colonel who never shit in his pants? Right?
Yeah, I agree.
You always respect the guys who fought
in the game.
It's a natural thing. I would give up if I was in first line and everything. If a guy was in combat, I would step behind him in a minute.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, got to be that way.
No, I agree. I think the country should be that way too. But,
yes. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about the VA. We used to go down to D.C. before Walter Reed closed. And Liam, did you ever meet Liam? The band?
Yeah, Liam Flaherty.
Yeah.
Well,
I got married the other day.
He did?
Yes.
Apparently he said hi and he's asking how you're doing, according to Al Michael in the chat.
What?
What? Pete, you got that? What?
Well,
what?
Liam Flaherty said hi, and he's asking how you're doing, according to one of our guys in the chat.
He must be with somebody in the chat.
Okay. I'm not court-martialed yet.
He got married, Liam, huh?
He got married.
Wow.
She's beautiful. She lives in South Carolina, and he's going to take me down there as his house mouse.
All right.
I'll follow him through his career. Don't worry. I'll keep him on.
He's got a pretty good career, that's for shit, sure.
Oh man,
Yeah, no doubt. Yep.
He gave up that Chiefs job.
Yeah.
Good for him. That was the best thing he could have done, man. I think, anyway.
You know what I told him? I said, look, Liam, you're a captain in a rescue company. You're probably in the best place in the world.
On the earth.
Guys would kill to be where you are.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
Nobody cares about a battalion chief.
Right. But the captain of Rescue 2, that's a different story, my friend.
When you're a captain in Rescue 2 or 1 or 3 or 5, whatever it is, when you're a captain, but in a company like that, you can't give that up, even for money.
Nope.
He's probably making more money than the chief anyway.
Probably is.
But I used to tell them that all the time. A lot of guys gave up their spots in busy companies, and some guys have to give up those busy spots because your body.
Yeah, no doubt. You can't take it. The running and getting on and off the rig. It's a lot of work over the years.
You know, and I went to the heart doctors, and this Dr. Rubin, he medical center, and he says, Tommy, he says, you guys, I don't know what it is, he says, but you should be dying. You should be dying at greater rates because your body's like when I was up last weekend up there in what was the name of that town we went to? Do you remember? It was right on the St. Lawrence River.
I don't know.
Okay, a young kid got killed.
Oh, I know. Yeah. The kid from in the school or whatever he was doing, right? Yeah.
Academy, and his machine, the breathing apparatus. Well, anyway, things happen, and physically, that don't happen really to regular people, normal people, and so I'm watching up to the church there, and all of a sudden I feel this tremendous stinging in my chest, all the way down, and I know it's my bronchial tubes because I had chronic bronchitis and blah blah blah. So what was happening? It was so cold up there that day. In the morning, around 6 o'clock, it was like 10 degrees with a 20-mile. So it was very cold. So I start walking, and that breathing now. I exercise every day, and I noticed in the past few months when I'm walking and it's cold,
tightens your chest up.
Yeah, can't breathe. So I have to wear a mask now when I walk in the cold, and
that's good.
It's just part of your body wearing down.
Yeah.
The ingestion of bad, like that's why all these guys are dying.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll sign the papers today, Tommy, to get to 82. I'll sign them today.
Who's 82?
I mean,
that young fella right there.
That young fella right there. I'll sign on.
I'll sign the papers right now.
No, but I always try to that little boxing that I did just proved to me. I always worked out in the fire department. I wasn't pretty, but it got me through.
Well, I want to show Petey. We have a video. Yeah, I want to go through the video right now, Tommy. All right. So we got a little snippet of you. I think it's 1985.
Yes. The film.
85. Yes. Roughly, we were in junior in high school.
Yeah. Right on. And we pulled this, by the way, from R1 Smoke Eaters page. So go give him a follow, a like, and a share. And this is just some highlight clips of Tommy in an old series here. So stand by. Here we go.
Get it.
Absolutely. Sense of humor counts for 10 points. And you have to have your rescue makeup kit. That's clip-on snots. Gotta have them at all times. Long rubber snots. And once in a while, as you go by some desk commando, you give him a on his polished shoes. Absolutely.
whoa, time out. You never laugh so hard. You sit in the kitchen in the Firehouse some night when everybody's really warmed up and having a lot of laughs. And the abuse that flies around, the jokes that are told, the stories that are told, you can see it's a lot of fun.
It's strange, but I feel very calm in the fire. It's nice to know that you can go to certain places and survive.
Tom is not a macho type guy. He doesn't portray that image. He's more the adventurous type, and he wouldn't show fear to me. And in the beginning, I would worry about it. You know, I'd be fearful. Oh my God, something's going to happen. But over a number of years, it diminishes those feelings. It's just like anybody going to their regular job.
Must have been electrical fire.
It's funny. There are times when I really cannot sleep at night. And it's not that I'm thinking that he's at work and something can happen. I'm just not thinking that way. It must be a subconscious feeling. That's the only way I can put it. I can't sleep at night. And it happens many times.
The first time I realized he was hurt, I was all upset. I found out in school, and I didn't know what to do. So, but I finally realized that it comes with the job, so I just, try to take it as it comes. He supports me a lot, so if he was gone, I wouldn't know really who to turn to.
Okay, so you stand behind it.
If he gets hurt, it's really hard. My feelings are damaged because, the father should be, strong, but when you do that, when you get hurt, it hurts me, my feelings are hurt real bad. Because I want him to be okay and everything.
You gotta be willing to pay the freight. You gotta be willing to take chances. You can't hold back, and you gotta try. You gotta try to...
That little extra, extend yourself.
Just be willing to pay the price.
Go for it.
Whatever the price is.
Your life?
Maybe. It's like the Olympics for real, you know what I mean? It's like going up an aerial ladder, knowing you gotta get to the roof, and there's people screaming, and you gotta get up that aerial ladder, and you gotta suck up maybe a lot of smoke, getting through the smoke to the roof line, and it's the Olympics for real.
That's great.
The Olympics for real.
Tommy, I'm just gonna say one thing, man. You married up, bro.
I knew you were going to say that, bro. I agree. I'm in. No doubt.
Agree. Unbelievable, huh?
Can you hear us, Tommy? Oh, he's I know he's getting choked up. He's looking at his wife there.
Poor Gigi, she was so good. We had the citywide radios, so we could go anywhere we want in the Bronx, right? And we'd go up to Van Cortlandt Park, and we would climb rocks up in Van Cortlandt Park. And then we'd go over to the house on Fieldston Road there, and she'd be cooking hot dogs and hamburgers, and she would put out the kiddie pool, and John Carter would take all his clothes off and sit there.
I love it.
And then we get a call. The Citywide Radio. We beat the first company in the East Bronx at a factory fire. We beat them in. How did that do that? So it was a great period. It was a great period in the job because the bosses let you alone. You did your fire duty, and you tried not to screw up. And we just did our job, and it was just a great work. And again, that was the men I met in the fire department were, to me, the greatest men I ever met in my life. They were selfless, and they would do anything for you. And man, you can't beat that. Trust.
Man, you can't beat that. I love it.
That might be a shirt, man.
I like that. Man, you can't beat that. I'm writing that down.
I would see certain guys at work, and they didn't have to be in the rescue company, but there was one guy, he was Lieutenant Joe McGarry, and poor Joe died a young man. But this guy was so squared away. He always looked great. And of course, he was in 28 truck, and that was one of the premier trucks in Harlem, and he went to 45. And there was just so many people there that you see them and you wouldn't worry about doing anything. Yeah, I mean, you could do anything that you had to do with those guys.
Did you find yourself getting closer to the guys like in the band? You spent a lot of time with the guys in the band.
Yeah, I mean the band. You know, after Gigi and Tommy, my son. I don't know. I didn't mention Tommy was a West Pointer. My son Tom.
Oh wow.
He graduated from West Point, and Nick Mancuso helped so much getting him in there. I mean, getting your kid into West Point, like
yeah, it's not an easy thing, right?
And I'll tell you a funny story about that. So we're trying to get Tom into West Point. Now he went to Fordham Prep, and that was a tough school. And Tommy was just like a regular guy, and he liked hanging around with the guys and having a few beers and all that stuff. But I told him there's better things in life than hanging around the corner and drinking beer and having a good life and having a family. To me, that was rock solid, man. That was rock solid. And I knew a lot of people in the fast lane. You know, like you always wanted to be close. But I knew guys in the fast lane. It's all bullshit. The fast lane is bullshit. What the real heroes in this country are the guys and girls who go to jobs. My father hated driving a trolley and a bus. My father wanted to be a writer. He came up during the Depression. Yeah.
You got to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he took the job with the trolleys. And you know, but he had a good life. He would take my mother to Ireland every 4 years. And he was over there. When he was a kid, there was a murder in the neighborhood. Hell's Kitchen was a rough place.
Oh yeah.
And but there was guys there who they were criminals, but they didn't bother the innocents. They bothered themselves. But there was no rape or any of that stuff going on with those Irish guys down there. You raped a woman, they'll throw you off the fucking roof. I mean, that's the way it should be. You know, there are certain rules that should not be broken, and they were. You don't mess with children, women. You don't take advantage of people. They had a code. Those guys, they worked on the docks. They had a code. It was like a religious code. There were certain things you didn't do. You don't sell women. They didn't like. There were maybe Dad said he maybe all those Irish guys down there. Maybe there was one or two guys with pimps. Pimps were looked upon as child molesters. Yeah, tough guys.
Hey, Tommy, Jerry Murtha's in the chat. He asked Tom about teaching at West Point.
Oh.
I love when you do that. Oh. It's like spark something.
Anyway, when Tommy got into West Point, thanks to Nick Mancuso, the UFA, Spinato, the fire fisher, he wrote letters for Tom. A lot of people helped me. And again, it's like pulling teeth. But Tommy was a pretty smart guy. Thank God he took after his mother. He was a smart guy. And he could read something and he would remember it. It'd be back in the box in the back of his head. He was just one of them guys. Anyway, so I found out there was a pipe band at West Point. And I said, Tom, join that band at West Point. Do you know that guy picked up the pipes in 6 months?
Wow.
No shit.
Yeah. He was just blessed with his mother's genius. She was so cool. She really was. So he was on the band, and so I said I met a captain up there. Let me just get it, Captain James. one of those Virginia gentlemen, and he was a combat guy in Vietnam, and just a good man. So I walked up to him, and being the canned ham that I am, you know, I can't help.
I was waiting for that one to come back, bro.
Oh, I have a canned ham, and so I introduced myself to the captain, and I said, "I'm Tommy McTigue's father. I'm in the bagpipe band fireman down in New York, and I think I like to help you guys. You know, I was a drummer and all that, and you know, it's a little technique you need for marching with pipes. You know, a little slower, a little fast. So there's this technique, and I brought my friend Johnny Cox with me, my boyhood friend, and he was a fireman out there in Brooklyn, and John came up there, and he was probably one of the best drummers in the band. And to make a long story short, we stayed there 4 years together with the band. 4 years. Every Monday night, we went up there for practice with the kids.
Shit.
Wow.
And they'd have a big show every April. And John and I would go up there with a fire department kilts on and all that stuff. And they would, you know, do a little thing for us out there. And John was the only civilian who ever marched with the Corps of Cadets on St. Patrick's Day in the history of this country.
Wow.
Cox took the lead drum in the back so the kids could march up the avenue to the right thing. So I every Monday night, John was there with me for 4 years, and I stayed for another 9 years up there because of Tommy was there and all that stuff. And it was time to go. You know, the band changed, and they put a girl in charge, and she didn't like my act. You know, it's a fireman shuffle. And
You got an act?
Huh?
You got an act?
It's kind of and she just like looked down. You know, even though she was a cadet, she was in charge of the band. You know, so what am I going to do? Argue with her? So I just gave her an Irish goodbye and left. That's it. But
I like the Irish goodbye. The Irish goodbye is all right.
Yeah.
Look at this Irishman right here.
Oh, look at that guy.
Yeah, that's an old picture too.
I like the drum, Petey. Where's the drum with his wife's?
Yeah, this is one of the
your wife.
Well, there's a couple.
Yeah.
With the drum, this one's amazing.
All the tough guys are dead.
I ate it for now. I did on the thing that because some guys maybe said that they think they're getting an easy pass. Oh,
they think they're tough, but they're alive.
The guys who you know, when you think about all the guys we buried from the World Trade and beyond, I kind of figured out we in this band since we started doing the funerals with Fitzpatrick and Frisby, that was in 1980. We must have buried, I would say, close, maybe 500-600 firemen, line of duty deaths.
Easy.
Yeah. A lot of guys.
Yeah.
Well,
that was a great documentary too, Tommy. I saw on the band. I was going to take some clips from there, but we just had to. You know, we had a lot of stuff happening. So, but what a great documentary! I didn't know all that stuff about the band early on and how you change colors and all that stuff. Good stuff.
You know, and one of the things too about the band is like you can go anywhere on the job, and there are some guys resent the fire. You know, the guys on the band. You know, they think that we get top shelf, but all that stuff, all the stuff that we do, they don't know all the secret stuff.
Right? Yeah. It's a lot of stuff goes on. Believe me. You know, showing up to all these, guy retiring. You know, you send the guy over there. You send the guy to a funeral. You send the guy here. You
weddings.
Send the guy
How about weddings?
All the time.
Oh my God,
It's countless times.
Yep.
Yeah, and we let it be known. We'll play for anybody. We played for black guys who died normal deaths and all that. We don't care. It's just all this racial stuff to us is nonsense. It's you're digging up dead bodies, man. Tell somebody, like I told you before, if you really want to go after the bad guys, go to the banks who made profits from the slave trade. They're still here. They're still here. They're up there in Albany. They're up there in New England. The guys the boats who made $1 million. Well, Hartford, Connecticut, they insured. I told you they insured the African slave trade. So what they would do if an African got sick on the ship, they threw him over, and the insurance companies gave
Paid him.
So who are you going? Go after them guys. Don't get some slobbo Irish guy who wants to be a fireman.
Slobbo Irish guy.
Tommy McTigue, the slobbo Irishman.
Fucking Irish.
And they keep the hate going, and now they're going. This guy, de Blasio, he's going. I don't know what the guy's doing. He wants to give everybody $1 million, or
reparations.
I'll take a check.
Yeah,
I'm Italian.
Yeah, well,
that's close. Yeah.
I'll tell you a story, but you didn't know. Down there in Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, now it's filling up with Yankees. Okay, it is. I was down there 1.5 years ago. Building everywhere. So I did a little research down in Charleston, South Carolina. I have a friend down there, a lady friend, a nice Jewish lady, Susan.
Hey!
She was one of the toughest women I've ever met. Her husband had MS, and he was an engineer, and he was a great guy. And all of a sudden, he got the sickness, and she's a little bit of a thing. And they lived in a place. I had a friend up there, and I was staying with her, Gusta Newman. And Gusta was from Czechoslovakia. And before the Nazis came, she told me the story when she was a little girl. Her mother was Jewish. Her father was Catholic. And the Czechs aren't really like Europe with the Christianity stuff. Like my mother used to tell me they would burn you at the stake if you lived in medieval times. She said, because I always question things. I said to my mother one day, I said, Mom, how do you know this guy? You don't say that to an Irish mother. You just can't. That's like screaming at the head rabbi. You just don't do that.
Yeah. Jerry's mom, she yelled at him when he put ice in her Jameson.
Ice in the Jamesons.
One of my favorite stories ever.
That might be one of the best stories.
Oh shit!
Great.
Anyway, so Susan's husband got real sick and multiple sclerosis, and he would take the guy out every day in an electric wheelchair and fold that freaking thing up and get it into the back of an SUV. The woman's a saint. Because
my grandma did the same thing.
Yeah. So there were people out there who just defy description.
Yeah.
Just don't know.
What do you think, Coobs?
I think it might be that time for a little gem from.
I think
we're getting gems
had
all
a
night
night
long.
full of gems, but
We have,
we need one special gem, and it's
What's
time
that, Pete?
for the old school tip of the day.
All right, Tommy, what do you got, kid?
Again, I said it before, but this is from Billy Murphy, who taught me a lot from 26 Truck and Rescue 3. Word of the day, in his honor, again, is it's better to be lucky than good, and don't get killed.
I like it. I like it.
Perfect.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Short and
like
sweet.
it. Tommy, it was great
Pleasure.
to have you on finally. I know you got sick a couple weeks ago, but I've been looking forward to this for a few months now. Talking with Matt. Matt was the one who first told me about it.
Yeah.
I work with Matt in 103. He's one of my favorite guys. I remember when he came in to talk to me about going up to Rescue 1. you know.
Yeah.
And so, even like you said, no matter where you work, you're always trying to make a move, try to, do something different when you see the same bricks and the same people and the same stuff,
It's good. It's good. I mean, I did. I got one more story to tell you. And,
Go ahead.
Get it.
once in a while, they would. I would get a detail down to the east side. Below, I never really felt comfortable working below 110th Street.
Who can blame you?
Different fireman, a different whole thing, and it's just different. And so I was sent to 16 truck, I think 2 different times, and the second time was the first time. Okay, I got it. So I was sent to 16, and I was around maybe 10 years, whatever it was. So I go to 16 one day and I report in, and the guy, the young lieutenant, says, "Where do you come from?" I says, "Well," it says, "I come from a 14 truck. It's on 125th Street. You know where 125th Street is? You know." And, he said, "No, I work downtown." I was, "Oh, that's great, man. You got a nice looking place and everything like that." And the guy's looking at me like, "Okay."
Crooked eye.
We got to run, and so I run out into the street, and so I got my hand up like that, and the chief car is coming out this way, and so I see it coming, and I just stand there, and the guy runs me over.
What?
Like over? Like over.
I'm under the engine. He's guarding the Russian embassy. He's guarding the Russian embassy there, 65th or 63rd, whatever it was.
67th between 3rd and left. Yeah.
And I can hear him yelling, "Hey, just run the fucking guy over!" The chief say, he tells me he's sitting in the car. "What guy?" Right? The guy, I can hear the chief say, "You just run me over."
And you're laying on the floor under the car.
Under
You
the
can't
car.
make this up. You can't even you couldn't make it up.
The cop goes, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know." So I just the cop pulls me out, and I'm laying there.
Oh my God.
Like this, and I'm looking up at the cop, and I see the chief, and the chief say it's right there, and he said to me, "Now I'm still in the street, but out from under the car." And I'm looking at the guy, and the guy's really shook up. And he says to me, the guy says to me, "You're not going to go sick, are you?"
Holy shit.
"You're not going to go sick, are you?"
My face hurts.
So he says, "If you go sick, they're going to call me down and look at me." And turned out he was blind in one eye.
Oh, so you couldn't see out that left side.
Fuck's he driving the Chiefs car? Can't see.
Holy shit. I left nobly. I did. I left.
Good man.
I left nobly, and I was invited to go back there one time, and it was the great. It was called the Great Chinese Vase. It was the Great Chinese Ming Vase Caper, and they had a job. In the basement of this antique store.
Ah, somebody stole it. Somebody swiped it.
Okay, so there's a sidewalk and there's one step down, and there's a front door into the store, and they have this big picture window in the front of where the wall used to be, and in the front and there they had a Ming vase, a Chinese Ming vase from the 4th century BC.
Oh my God. Yeah. Some ridiculous thing, right?
Yeah, like $4 million.
Yeah.
You can see what's going to happen here.
I know what's happening.
So the oil burner blew up, and there's a company down there, and nobody's opening up the building. Nobody's opening up the building. So this big glass thing is there, and the front door is open to the store.
Oh, no.
And the door to the basement where the oil burner is right there, and this black smoke is pouring out of this place. And I turn around and I yell, there's a company down there.
Somebody take the glass.
I bet you Tommy took the glass.
Wound up.
Oh, no, my God. I'm getting nervous.
No, don't break. The Ming is 4,000.
Poor BC. Tommy took care of that. One for me. Tommy took care of it.
The Ming Days caper.
4,000 years old.
That story. Oh, my God. Were they insured?
Holy Christ.
But I don't know. And so the chief.
Oh, my face.
And I said, hey, Chief, you forgot. There were firemen down there, and nobody vented the building. And I had many young chiefs saying to me, why'd you break that window for? I said, because you weren't in there.
You heard it. You heard it in slow motion, Tommy, as you were coming around. The guy going, no.
Yeah. Heard it. Oh, right. But when I pulled up, so what am I going to do? Knock a
I would have broke it. Screw it.
Then the chief said to him, hey, weren't you the guy that we ran over like 3 months ago?
What stopped me out of that is the fireman didn't give a fuck about me. He cared about his spot.
Yeah, right.
I have to go down and get the ice checked.
You should have tapped out.
Yep.
Tap out. Frigate.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
But I mean, I kind of, it's like if I could get into a little trouble every day, I was happy.
Yeah, I like that. I was the same kind of guy.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
You got any shout outs, Ruffy?
I do, actually. Petey, give me
Jared.
Yeah, give me Jared. So there was a line of duty death in I think it's Spring Valley. Yeah, Jared Lloyd. The other day in the senior home passed away. So they got a GoFundMe page. I think they raised like $200,000 already. He was in Engine 17.
They're actually up to 400,000.
Is that right? Yeah. So
yeah, definitely. If you guys can go and
take a look at it. Unfortunate, obviously, it looked like a lot of fire, man. A couple of videos I saw looked like it was
shitload of fire there. Yeah, man.
Like it was ripping.
Yeah, what a shame.
And then that other picture, Petey, for me, please.
Yeah, brother, gotcha.
So it's with deep regret that Department FDNY announces the passing of firefighter Joseph Daly, Engine Company 218, lost his battle with World Trade Center illness on Wednesday, March 24th. He served in the department for 22 years. The following arrangements have been confirmed. So Monday, March 29th in Holbrook, Maloney's Holbrook Funeral Home, 2 to 4, 7 to 9. And also the service will be Tuesday, March 30th at Good Shepherd Catholic Church in Holbrook. So not the shout outs I like.
He's the line of duty, right?
Say that again, Tommy.
Get the line of duty, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
both of them. Yep.
You'll be there.
Yeah, man.
Brutal.
All right, Tommy, just hang on. All right, we're gonna just close out, and then we'll talk to you in the back like before. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Petey Kid.
Okay, well, guys, if you guys are watching us, you should also be listening to us if you are on your way to work or in the gym or anywhere where it's convenient on iTunes Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever fine audio podcasts are found. Also, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and share here at youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience. Every time you hit that like button and subscribe, it helps us out quite a bit. Also, guys, if you're on the Instagram, head on over to Instagram.com @SaltyDogInc, where you'll find the finest curated, saltiest fire photos. Tommy couldn't give a shit, but whatever. And that's all good, you know. He's leaving. Fuck it. He doesn't.
I love that rope.
We'll do it live. And also, guys, head on over to Gettin Salty. Hey, head on over to GettinSaltyApparel.com, where you guys will find the coolest fighter apparel and gear, like what I'm wearing, what I've been drinking out of this fine drinking vessel here. Last but not least, guys, if you have a question for one of our Q&A shows, make it a good one and send it over to gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com. Try not to ask us how many boroughs there are in the city of New York, or if fire is hot and water is wet. Let's try to avoid that stuff. Also, guys, last thing, head on over to Facebook. If you're on Facebook, we have something called, it's not ours, but it was made for us. It's the Gettin Salty fans page, which keeps growing and growing. I think there are over 15,000 members now. Something crazy like that, right?
There's 11,000.
11,000 members. Okay. These guys all day long.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Guys, really good stuff. You get to hear about your fellow brothers. Maybe there's some jobs, God forbid, another line of duty death, but that stuff's in there. Also, funny memes about us. Guys, go check it out if you're fans of the show. Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen,
I was remiss, bro, because there were 2 line of duty deaths, so I want to give the 5 bells for the line of duty deaths.
Please.
All right.
Rest in peace, brothers.
Rest in peace.
For Monday, I have Tilly Geidel's going to be on the show. She's a little nervous, I think, but she just came out with a new book. You're going to
make her feel right at home. I'm getting the pipe. We're going to do the office corner.
Yes.
We'll have to go. Yeah. Tilly Geidel on there.
I'll be reporting for that one from the woods in the middle of nowhere. So hopefully our
who is that? Mike Tyson?
Okay.
Is that Mike Tyson?
He's fighting Evander again.
I know. I saw that.
I hope he fights a zero.
I love it.
I got the stogie. I love it. Yep.
Nice.
All right.
Yep. All right, bro.
Great show.
All right, fellas. Yep. Stay low and go, fellas.
All right. We'll see you at the big one.